your toilet is whispering to you right now. Yeah, really. And if you listen carefully, it has some important things to say. But most people have stopped hearing what their toilets are trying to tell them. They've tuned it out, just like they've tuned out all the other subtle sounds of their home. Sounds that used to be obvious, like when your water heater is about to go, or your furnace is struggling to keep up with the cold. But now people don't hear these things anymore, because they're too busy with their phones, or their TVs, or something else. But your toilet is still talking, and what it has to say could save you thousands of dollars. Here's how to listen to your toilet, and what you need to look out for. I was recently working with a client in the Denver area, and I could hear this gurgling sound coming from his toilet. Now, my trained ear could pick up on what that meant, but most people wouldn't even know where to start. When you hear a toilet gurgle, that means there's an air pocket in the drain line. The water in the trap has turned into a liquid, which can then create a suction effect. Now, if you flush, that air pocket gets sucked into the bowl, and you get a loud gurgle sound. If that happens, you should be able to flush that air pocket out. But if not, that could be a sign of a much bigger problem. If you have standing water in your toilet, you may have a blockage in the sewer line. A sewage line blockage can cause raw sewage to back up into your toilet, and that can cost tens of thousands of dollars to repair. But usually, the first sign of a sewage line blockage is a toilet that won't flush. So if you hear your toilet gurgle and it won't flush, get on that right away. Another thing you can learn from your toilet is whether or not it's time to replace it. Toilets only last so long before they start to wear out. And if you wait too long to replace them, you could end up with a much bigger problem on your hands. Older toilets use more water per flush, and they aren't as efficient as newer models. They also might start to crack or break down over time. That's why it's a good idea to replace your toilet every 20 years or so, especially if you start hearing strange noises coming from it. Strange noises coming from your toilet could also mean that it's clogged. If the water starts draining slowly from the bowl, that could be another sign that something is wrong. You might have to use the plunger a few times before the water goes down completely. If this happens more than once, it might be time to call a plumber. A slow drain could be caused by a small blockage in the line, but it could also be a sign of something more serious, like tree roots growing into your sewer line. Tree roots can cause all sorts of problems for your drains, so it's important to get rid of them as soon as possible. The longer you wait, the more damage they can do. Tree roots growing into sewer lines are one of the most common plumbing problems we deal with in Denver. In fact, I have a whole video dedicated to just this topic, so make sure to check that out if you haven't already. But it's not just your toilet that's trying to talk to you. It could save you from a lot of headaches and heartaches down the road. Take water, for example. When you turn on a faucet, you should hear water immediately. If you don't, that could mean there's a leak somewhere in the line. Leaks can waste water and raise your water bill, but they can also cause all sorts of structural damage to your home. That's why it's so important to fix leaks as soon as possible. Don't wait until the damage is done. Another thing you should look out for is the sound of running water. If you hear this when no water is running, it could mean that one of your faucets is leaking at a rate of more than 1 drip per second. That might not sound like a lot, but it can add up to hundreds of gallons of wasted water per year. Not to mention the increased water bill and the potential for foundation damage. That's why it's important to investigate any running water sounds right away. It could save you a lot of money and headaches in the long run. And then there's the sound of your HVAC system. When your furnace kicks on, you should hear the blower motor come on first. Then, after a few seconds, the gas furnace will light. If you don't hear the blower motor, that could be a sign that it's not working properly. The blower motor is responsible for pushing warm air throughout your home. If it fails, your home won't be able to heat properly, and you could end up with a very expensive repair bill. That's why it's so important to address any HVAC issues right away. Don't wait until you're freezing in your home to realize that something is wrong. Same thing with your AC. When it's hot outside, you should expect your AC to kick on and cool your home down. But if you notice that it's not blowing cold air or it's making a funny noise, that could be a sign of a bigger problem. Your AC unit could be on its last legs and on the verge of breaking down completely. That would be a nightmare during a heat wave, so it's important to address any AC issues right away. Don't wait until you're sweating in your home to realize that something is wrong. Now, your water heater is another appliance that you should definitely be listening to. When you turn on your shower, the water should start heating up right away. If it doesn't, that could mean that your water heater is having trouble heating water. This could be a sign that it's time to replace your water heater. Water heaters only last so long before they stop working properly. If you wait too long to replace it, you could end up with no hot water at all. And in the winter, that could be a disaster. Not to mention the cost of replacing a water heater when it completely breaks down. It's much cheaper to replace it while it's still working properly. You can catch small problems early on and prevent them from turning into big, expensive repairs. So next time you hear a strange noise coming from your toilet, don't just tune it out, listen closely. It might be trying to tell you something important. So when was the last time you had your sewer line inspected? Most people never do, but it's actually a great way to protect your home from the unexpected. Sewer line breaks can cause all sorts of problems, from sewage backups to foundation damage, but they're also very expensive to repair. That's why it's so important to inspect your sewer line regularly. If you find any cracks or breaks, you can repair them right away. This will prevent them from getting worse and causing bigger problems down the road. Plus, it's always better to be safe than sorry when it comes to your sewer line. Just think about all the nasty stuff that's inside there. You don't want it spilling out all over your yard. Now, here's the thing. Most people don't think about inspecting their sewer lines until there's already a problem. By that time, it's often too late, and they end up with a messy, expensive situation on their hands. That's why I recommend that everyone have their sewer line inspected at least once every few years. This will help you catch any problems early on and save you from a lot of stress and expense down the road. And if you're in the Denver metro area, we offer free sewer line inspections with every camera inspection. We'll take a look at your sewer line and let you know if there's anything that needs to be repaired. Plus, we're licensed, bonded, and insured, so you can trust us to do the job right. If you found this video helpful, make sure to give it a thumbs up. And don't forget to subscribe for more great tips. Thanks for watching.